Man of Steel writer David S. Goyer had some pretty interesting things to say about James Gunn's Superman. We're about to take a look at that. Before we see exactly what he says about the Superman movie, we need to see what they were talking about beforehand. He was interviewed by Happy, Sad, Confused, and they were talking about Batman Begins. And I think it's really important first for us to check out what it was that they were talking about before he said the things that he said. So let's go ahead and check that out right now. I need my headphones. I always forget that. I can't hear anything unless I have this on. But if y'all remember, Batman Begins wasn't really the movie that took the world by storm, but it kind of was. It was Dark Knight that took the world by storm. But Batman Begins, we'll talk about that in a second. But let's just hear what he has to say here.
Did you immediately clock the influence of this film in the subsequent years?
Sure, because what would happen
about Batman Begins
is the same thing that happened after Blade is I would go out on these meetings 3 or 4 months after the film had come out. And suddenly everyone was talking about how, we want what you did for Batman Begins, but for this character.
Okay, what he's talking about here is, if you remember, Batman Begins, one of the coolest things about it, and honestly, that's what I liked about it most when I came out of the theater, was that they said, okay, if Batman were realistic, how would that actually work in 2005? Like, how would that work? How could Batman actually be real? This is where you get the, like, Humvee style Batmobile, and you get, like, he was talking about his cape, how it had the electrical impulses that caused it to. This is real research that he had done on real things that are out there to cause it to stiffen up so he could glide. He did a lot of things in that movie, like his Batman ears. They served a purpose. They were basically like little cell phone towers. He did a lot of things in that movie, which was kind of at the request of Christopher Nolan, to make sure that it was as realistic as possible. Which is why when we got Man of Steel, I kind of thought that was the route they were going to go. It's like, how is this possible? How can he fly? How can he shoot lasers out of his eyes? They didn't go that route, but that's where I thought they were going with it. And what he's saying is, when they did that with Batman, even though Batman, we'll talk about this in a minute, wasn't an insane success, Batman Begins, that is, that's what people wanted. So let's continue.
We want the Batman Begins for X.
Right.
The Batman Begins, which meant, I guess, this sort of restructuring, re-expression back to the basics. Casino Royale was very much viewed as the Batman Begins for Bond. Yeah. And a lot of films were made or attempted to be made that way. And then I had the same thing.
I would like to hear some examples.
Which is like, we want to do what you did for vampires, but with werewolves, or
Are there any wrong lessons, do you think, that any films took from?
Yeah, of course, because the wrong lesson is you can't chase the fad. Yeah. Because by the time you get the movie made, it'll be 3 or 5 years from now.
That's all DC does, guys. They chase the fad.
Completely different, but Hollywood is always reactive that way. Is they just now everything's going to be the Batman Begins version of something, or with the Dark Knight, it's going to be the Dark Knight, but we're going to make the Darker Knight, or the even Darker Knight still, or the even, which is why, it will be interesting now to see like the Gunn version of Batman come out, which will probably be a very different version and probably a welcome version, because now there's been 20 years of really dark Batman.
Yeah, exactly. This is a huge point that I want to point out. We've had a whole bunch of dark Batman, but we've also had, I don't want to say dark Superman. Superman wasn't, no, that's not true. Superman was supposed to be the bright, but he had a dark Superman lingering in the back that we were constantly afraid that Superman was going to turn into that dark. So he's right. We've had maybe some dark fatigue. Not everybody. Some of you guys in the comments, when I say we, you're like, don't put me in with the we. I'm not like that. Okay, I get it. Some of you want Superman to rip people's eyeballs out of their skulls and eat them. Okay, that's what you want. I don't want that, and I would argue that the majority of us don't want that. But I think he's making a great point here that this shift to this different Superman style is because people are kind of fatigued on this gritty, dark, realistic. Plus, we just had a bunch of things happen in real life over the past decade that were dark and gritty and realistic for all of us. And it's kind of fun to get out of something like that. When you're dealing with things like COVID and, high rates and stuff, and you're dealing with losing friends and family, and you're dealing with, elections that maybe didn't go your way, or whatever the case is. The past decade's been very hard on a lot of people, not to mention wars, but we won't get into that. But the point is, he's right. People are maybe fatigued. He didn't say it that way, but he said, it's been done. It's been done. So he's said maybe it's a welcome version that's coming with Gunn, which maybe it is. And it's not for some of y'all, but some of y'all are very excited. It's very interesting seeing y'all's. By the way, I do read all the comments. I read all the base comments, like the ones that are on replies. That's where I don't really get notifications for those. I get the main ones that are on the page. So, but I do read all those, and I do my best to respond to all those. And I hear what y'all are saying. I hear it. Most of you know that because I'm talking to you. Let's continue here.
Between you guys and what Matt did, obviously, it almost feels like it's time for an interesting pendulum shift back towards Adam West.
Which is what people have said.
Okay, I don't agree with that Adam West comment, but I don't think this is... If you're hoping that this Superman movie is going to be like Adam West Batman, you're going to be disappointed. I don't think it's going to be like that. This Superman movie is probably not going to have the bang pow. It's probably not going to be so cheeky and, holy shark repellent Batman. I mean, I don't think it's going to be like that. If that's what you're hoping for, you'll be severely disappointed. But I realize that he's just, being humorous, saying this is, opposite of what that was.
How are you reacting to the trailers? I've not seen the film yet for the new Superman film.
Okay, so this is where he's going to talk specifically about Gunn. He's saying people are asking him how he's reacted, and he makes a point to tell us, even though we know he hasn't seen the film, that he hasn't seen the film. So this is basically him saying, based on the trailer, because we all know the film could suck. Trailers do a great job at lying. So we'll see what he says here.
I loved him, and it's not
I loved him.
Steel at all,
right?
But and it because I came from that world, it would not have occurred to me to use crypto. But when crypto shows up, I've just got a big grin on my face.
Yeah.
Okay, so what he's saying is it wouldn't occur to me to use crypto. Like we said, the whole world was like taken a storm by this realistic take of like, if this were real, how would this work? That mindset in Man of Steel probably wasn't thinking, let's make a super dog. It was probably already hard enough to deal with having a realistic Superman, which was interesting to me. They just kind of ignored that in Man of Steel, like how he was able to do the things. There was no scientific basis. That's where I thought they were going with it when Nolan was getting involved and all that. But they didn't go that way, which, is fine. But one of the things that bothered me that still does, if we're going to take a realistic approach, at least have the Kryptonians speak a different language. And whenever they have those weird things, going over their head, okay, maybe now they have some sort of advanced translating gizmo that can instantly tell you what they're saying, but just a little something, you know what I mean? Like they spoke English. That was not realistic at all, going along with this, darker, gritty, more realistic style that they were doing. But I really love that he wrote Man of Steel, or the screenplay. He was heavily involved in that world. He helped make that thing popular, starting with Batman Begins, and he's excited. He loved it, he said. He's excited to see the next version. He's excited to see what else can come. I loved Christopher Reeve's Superman. I enjoyed Brandon Routh's Superman a lot. I really wish they wouldn't have cut it off on us. I wanted to know what was going to happen with his son. I wanted to know what was going to happen with Luthor on that island and no gasoline, if he was going to, turn that little dog into gasoline or not. I wanted to know what was going to happen with Man of Steel 2. We were supposed to get Man of Steel 2. Instead, they went straight to Batman versus Superman. I still feel so just like a knife in the back on that, because Man of Steel, if you watch it in and of itself, it's a great movie, and it's got flaws like they all do. But what we needed next, we needed to see him going around saving people, caring about the humans deeply. And we never got to see that. We got hints of it in movies, but we never truly got to see. Usually when he saved an individual, you're thinking, you just let all those people die. Why do you care about that one person? But the Man of Steel 2 thing, we needed it bad to continue that universe and make it something that would stick. They skipped it, went straight to Batman versus Superman, which could have been 3 movies, but it was 1 movie. Then we went to Justice League stuff. The story by then was getting so entertaining. It was like, come on, where's this going? And they realized, yeah, we really ticked off a lot of the fan base. We have divided people. I knew people that wouldn't even watch this movie because they love Christopher Reeve. And that's just as dumb. But this movement, although small, the wallets closed and all that, it's bigger than those, I think, in a way. Or at least they weren't, I don't know. Now I'm getting off on a train of thought. But my point is, he's excited about it. He created that universe. And one thing that baffles me, I said in the beginning I was going to talk about this, about Batman Begins. I do not understand why Batman Begins took off the way it did and started making people want to make movies different, like he was saying, and all that. Because if you recall, Batman Begins at the box office didn't do amazingly well. I mean, it did good. It did good. Back in 2005, it got, let's see, I have it here, 373 million worldwide. Back in 2005, 373 million worldwide. The next year, Superman Returns came out. Now, granted, it had a higher budget, so it didn't have as much profit, but 391 million worldwide. The next year, it did slightly better. But some reason, the Batman Begins one, they decided we're going to go in full force into this. Like, why do you guys think that is? Let me know in the comments, because I'm still baffled. And what's really interesting is Batman Begins also, look at the critic scores on this now for Rotten Tomatoes. Don't look at the user scores. Those get manipulated over time. But 85% for Batman Begins. That's great. That's a good movie, okay? In my opinion, anything over 70% is a movie definitely worth watching. Anything below it is like, okay, it just depends on your particular take. But 85% is a great movie, but it's not what you would think it would be to have started the universe. You know what I mean? And for the budget, I mean, not the budget, but the amount of money it got. But they had a lot of faith in it for some reason. Then look at Superman Returns. Again, the next year, 74%. A good movie, made a little bit more money, but they just nixed it. They were like, no, we're totally rebooting it. Why do you guys think that is? Personally, I think it's because they didn't feel like it fit into the Batman Begins world. Even though they never connected those worlds, I'm not saying that they were going to make them appear on screen together. What I'm saying is that they were creating their own DC how we do movies thing, and it was this gritty, realistic tone, and that may not have fit for them. I'm not really sure. I would love to hear what you guys think in the comments. Remember, this is a brand new Superman channel. I talk about just Superman all the time, especially with a new movie and stuff, and in the new universe that they're building. So make sure you subscribe and jump on this, because I've only been doing this for this channel for about 4 months now, and it's going really well. So if you would like to hear more about why I am excited about this next upcoming movie, even though I'm a Henry Cavill fan, why I'm not like just totally torn down by the idea and want to boycott it, you can check out this movie right here. And if you want to see what other people out there are thinking about this new movie, and how how David's going to do, you can check out this video right here.